This is the new Sony 100 to 400mm f4.5 G Master lens, and after using it I can definitely confirm it plays in a whole different league than the old Sony 100 to 400 f4.5 to 5.6 lens. And in this video I want to talk about my impressions and experiences when using this lens for bird and general wildlife photography, also how well it performs with the 1.4 and even 2x extender for these situations where you just need a little bit more focal length, and finally also talk about for whom I think this lens is really great and who might better look into a different model. Without the lens hood, the lens is around 33 centimeters long and up to 12 centimeters wide. However, it's somehow significantly lighter than you would expect. At least for me it was. Every time I lifted the lens up, I was surprised how lightweight it actually is, weighing in at around 1840 grams, which is significantly less than, for example, the Sony 200 to 600mm, which is also a very popular lens for wildlife photography. One reason why the lens is a little bit larger is of course that you have this internal zoom, meaning if you zoom from 100 to 400mm, the tubus doesn't extend, which can be useful if you work from a tripod. But what's more important for me is that it kind of has a very short throw, so it's not even 1/4 of a turn from changing from 100 to 400mm, and you can see in these examples how big the difference between 100 and 400mm actually is. And I think this is already impressive because I cannot think of any other full frame lens for a mirrorless camera, no matter which camera brand or lens manufacturer, that has a 4x internal zoom with a constant aperture. If you know one, please let me know in the comments, but I think that's really a first. What I also like about the zoom is that you can change how easy or how hard it goes, so you can kind of set the friction with this smooth and tight switch here. In the beginning I had it on smooth, but I noticed that on some occasions when I was holding the lens like this, it actually zoomed out, like going back to 100mm slowly. So at some point I changed to tight, which means I need to turn the focus at the zoom ring a little bit more, but overall I prefer that it actually stays where I last had it. The lens also has a quite short minimum focus distance. It's a variable minimum focus distance depending on the focal length that you use, but it ranges from 64 centimeters to 1.50 m, and this allows a maximum magnification of 0.25 or 1 to 4, which is quite good for the occasional macro photography. Of course not for very small insects, but for larger ones like dragonflies, butterflies, maybe some amphibians, it can be used quite nicely. And if you want even larger magnification, you can of course use the 1.4 or 2x extender. The lens also has 4 function buttons here in front that you can configure however you want in the camera, and it has this function ring that you can, for example, use for the focus recall. And I think that's also the first time that Sony uses this on a zoom lens. In the past we only had them like on the 300mm f2.8, 400mm 2.8 and 600mm f4 lens. On the left side you have several switches: autofocus, manual focus, you have a full-time direct manual focus switch, a focus limiter that is either the full range or 4 meters to infinity. And here it's the first thing that I don't 100% like about the lens. I wish Sony would have also included like a focus limiter, let's say minimum focus distance to 4 meters or to 5 meters. For some situations like taking pictures of dragonflies in flight, this would have been quite useful. For most situations I think it will not be a big deal, however. Down below we have of course the image stabilizer and then the image stabilizer mode. And just behind we have a small drop-in filter here where you can add an ND or polarizing filter. But if you already own a big screw-on filter, the camera, or the lens, sorry, also has a 95mm filter thread that you can use, so you can basically choose which kind of filter you want to use. The tripod collar is fixed, you cannot remove it, it works very smoothly, and what I like is that at 0, 90, 180 and 270 degrees you have a bit of a resistance, so if you are on the tripod and you rotate the camera, you always know when you basically hit the 90-degree mark. You can of course remove the foot here and replace it with another foot, for example one that is Arca Swiss compatible or maybe a bit more compact. Before we move to the image quality and autofocus performance, one important part is of course the price, and this is around $4,300 US. I use the lens both for taking pictures of ibex, birds and landscapes, and overall I was very happy with the image quality. I also tried sometimes to move the ibex a bit more to the edge of the frame just to have a more interesting composition, and even there I had no problem with image sharpness. Also in the landscape shots I didn't notice any softness towards the edges. So I was very happy with this lens, as basically expected. It performed really well also over the whole focus area between 100 and 400 millimeter. I also used the lens in backlit, and overall it also performed very well. There were just some rare situations where I had a bit of flares, but of course it's hard to say if another lens would have performed better or worse. Overall, I didn't find them to be very dramatic. Finally, for some smaller subjects like songbirds, I also used the 1.4 and the 2x extender. And from my impression with the 1.4 extender, I basically didn't notice a drop in image quality, and even with the 2x extender the images were still very sharp, so I would not be afraid of use this if the conditions are right. The autofocus was also very consistent. I didn't have a problem of focus hunting or anything, even in backlit situation, especially in combination with the A1 Mark II. I didn't have any issues with the autofocus. The only part where the only situation where it was struggling a little bit is when I was taking pictures of the dragonflies in flight. I just had the impression that in the close to the minimum focus distance, let's say 1.5 to 2.5 meters, it was a bit slower and it was a bit harder to acquire the focus. Once it was acquired, it had no problem tracking the dragonfly, and I got a lot of sharp images. It was just important for me to here pre-focus manually, and it was one of the situations where I think it would have helped if there would be a focus limiter option that also allows you to basically limit the focus to the close region. If you want to learn more about how you can take sharper images with your Sony camera, no matter which lens you use, then please have a look at the ebook about Sony autofocus system that I wrote together with my good friend and Sony ambassador Levi Fitze. If you have been following my channel for a while, you will know that I'm not a big fan of tripods, so I never used this lens on a tripod. However, in the mountains, if I wanted to take some nice pictures after sunset, I wanted to keep the ISO as low as possible, especially for landscapes that are not moving. So I just chose a longer shutter speed, and even with a tenth of a second at 100 or 150 millimeters, most of the images were still sharp. However, what was way more impressive than that was how well the image stabilizer worked in the video mode. I was mainly recording with the Sony A1 Mark II, and for the first time with a Sony telephoto lens or camera, I had the feeling that the footage was actually usable even at 400, 560 millimeters handheld without needing to slow down the footage to 50 or even 25%. So this was a very welcomed improvement. Overall, I was very happy with the lens, and I think objectively there is really not much you can complain about. Sony really did a fantastic job in the lens. I think the more important question is the lens the right choice for you? And here I want to try to give you some recommendations. So I think where this lens shines is as an overall wildlife photography lens for situations where the subjects are not too small or like not too shy, not too far away. This could be for general safari photography, because with this 100 to 400 millimeters, you're extremely flexible. You can still use your extender for some situations when you need it. And I think for that, this lens is basically perfect. The same also if you go into the mountains, try to photograph ibex and other animals, maybe some birds that are a bit less shy, or you want to include more of the surroundings. And while it is not cheap, you are still far away from a 400mm 2.8 or similar lens. For some situations where I think the lens might not be the perfect choice, or at least it would not be my first choice, is if you already own a 600mm f4 or 400 2.8 and you want to use both in parallel and do a lot of hiking. So if you just go to a local lake, you stay there, take pictures of the ducks and hope that they come closer, and then you want to use this lens, this will work perfectly. But if you do a lot of hikes, I think it's not even the weight that is the biggest issue, but just the size. This together with a 600mm f4 in a backpack, you will automatically need to take a bigger backpack. And for these situations, I would either consider maybe a 70 to 200 2.8, or maybe hope that there will be a new version of the 100 to 400 4.5 to 5.6 lens, which just by design is much more compact. And if you want to use the lens for kind of the telephoto landscape shots, it's not that this lens is not doing it well, it's doing it perfectly, but I think it's a bit overkill. I would maybe also go for another and more lightweight option. One last thing where I think this might not be the perfect lens is if you often need 600 or 800 millimeter. I think in this case I would rather go with the 400 to 800 millimeter from Sony that already exists and is actually a little bit cheaper. If you want to buy this lens, I linked it down below. When you purchase over this link, you would just support my channel without paying anything more. If you already have the lens, please let me know in the comments how you like it, what you don't like, and then see you in the next video.